I hate how it just starts recording immediately. Hello internet, welcome to my washed out face and my not particularly aesthetic home environment. I am new to BookTube. This is my first video and I'm going to be doing the BookTube newbie tag. The first question, why did you start this channel? I think I have been inspired by my long-term critique partner and friend. I've fluffed that up already. So, why did you start the channel? I was inspired by my long-term critique partner, writing buddy, and inner circle friend, Just Torno Reads. He started his channel recently, and I guess it appealed to me as an avenue to develop critical reading of fiction, which is not something that I have much experience with. It's not something that happens naturally to me, for me. And I believe I'm also a writer, and I think that learning to improve the information I can gather from reading might help me in my writing endeavours. I'm really nervous, this is crazy, it's just a video, but my heart... So, what are some of the fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? I've never been accused of being fun, and unique things I can bring to BookTube. What are you most excited about for this new channel? I have ridiculously optimistic hope that I will meet some like-minded people and get to have conversations about books. I hope that I improve as a reader. I hope that I become part of the community in a way that I'm exposed to books that I might not have come across otherwise, that I'm pushed as a reader to diversify and to challenge myself. And to share the excitement of finding a book that really speaks to parts of you that feels like, this is still seeming quite cliched, but now I've lost my train of thought. It's gone. Sometimes if I have a drink, it comes back. To share the excitement of a fantastic read, to be part of a community that is why do you love reading? Well, I feel like this is going to get very repetitive. I love reading because it gives me access to belief systems and experiences in long form that I wouldn't have access to otherwise. It lets me exercise and develop empathy in directions that aren't available to me in my very hermited life. I really appreciate it for that. I love that I feel a sense of connection when I read a book that really a character or the plot or character relationships really make me feel just a bit less alone in the world because someone else has thought it and wrote it, and I love that about books. What book or series got you into reading? I can't remember. So I have my reading history is in two parts. I stopped reading and went down the misspent youth and personal destruction for quite a while. So I think I stopped reading, I don't know, maybe early teens and started reading again much later in my early 20s. I remember reading a lot of the Babysitter's Club and Goosebumps when I was younger. I must have been pretty simple back then. No, that's not actually a good thing to say at all, because it's not a reflection of the books. That's me feeling insecure about reading stuff that was popular and accessible. Scratch that. So I will go by my second dive into reading, and two series stand out to me. One of them was the Dragon Keeper series, written by Robin Hobb, which is high fantasy. Blown away by the characterization, the character relationships, the world, the political intrigue, and what I always tell people when I'm recommending the series, which means it's a nod to what stood out to me, was the biological and ecological descriptor of the dragons in the very beginning. I was so impressed. I have a degree in ecology, which I don't get to use, unfortunately, for pay. And I remember being really excited that the life history strategy of the dragons was explained, and environmental impacts, making their reproduction difficult. I hope that's not spoilery. Sorry about my knee. I should draw something on it to make it more appealing. Alright, so the other series was Shiver, the Shiver trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater. That book series also really encouraged me to write in earnest, and to pursue publication. Nowhere near that happening years and years later, but I still remember, when I think back to that series, I still remember parts of it, all three of the books, which is really rare for me, because I'm not sure if it's a pretty standard but I forget mostly everything that I read. I can't have a conversation relating to plot or characterization with someone if I've read the book 2 weeks before them. It's really unfortunate, but that's the case. But I remember parts of that story and others, but not specifically, quite a lot in those series. And I mostly kitchen scenes, like making bread and breading chickens. Sorry about that. Bits of them, not the whole thing, which isn't any better. Oh, it's getting worse. But I remember the feeling, and it takes me back to the period of my life when I was reading that. It's like I don't know how to talk. Freudian slip, it's too real. I don't know how to describe it, but it's... I'll stop rambling and move right along. What questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? This is one I struggle with. I guess it would be quite general, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to list my favourite booktubers. But I guess, how did they go about developing the critical reading of fiction, and what system do they have in place? Do they need to write post-it notes? Do they keep a record as they read, or does it just stay in their mind? It would be me fishing for tips on how to survive booktube and how to be able to talk about the books that I'm reading and what I appreciate about them. And what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Probably that. Again, it's getting quite repetitive. Not very good at articulating what of a story I appreciate, and I'm not great at criticizing stories. I typically read them, am quite blown away, enjoy the experience, and then read reviews, and in hindsight I can see the criticisms being valid, but it didn't impede my enjoyment of the story. So that's going to be, I guess, an intellectual challenge. And then practical, I'm aware that regular posting is pretty important, and that's going to be a challenge for me. Developing a habit and sticking to it on days when I don't feel like it, or if I'm feeling particularly down for a long period of time, that's going to be hard, but I'm looking forward to the challenge. I think it's about time I stretched myself a little bit. When did you start reading? I can't remember. I remember loving it though. I remember rereading books that I loved over and over and over again when I was younger, and loved being read to. Yeah. Where do you read? Fiction? In my house. Almost exclusively. I don't leave it very often though, so it's not as though I'm inhibited in any way by being selective about that. I can listen to audiobooks when I'm out and about, and I can read in doctor's surgeries, but I struggle to be able to concentrate and follow the story in areas where there is any kind of noise, I guess. So that's probably the driver behind mostly reading at home or with earphones on. What kind of books do you like to read? Historically, fantasy, YA, hugely, contemporary, urban fantasy, magic realism, non-fiction. I love the ecological science, biological science, geology is fascinating. So journal articles, I like reading non-fiction textbook style. More so this year, I guess, being only recently, perhaps in the last year, discovering BookTube, very late to it, I was encouraged to question my reading more, and it was extremely white. So what I'm enjoying reading now are books told by people, a variety of different types of people, genders, sexual orientation, culture, race. I'm pretty embarrassed that my reading history is so white and so predominantly male as well. I remember, I can't remember who said it, so I probably shouldn't quote, but it was, look at me, I'm like, I shouldn't do it, but then I start doing it anyway. I've lost that thought train as well. This will be a challenge for me as well, not being so nervous that my brain just shuts down. I enjoy reading books now that tell stories. People who have experiences that I can't fathom, and I think it's been rewarding and eye-opening, and I'm looking forward to stretching that now beyond the writer and character and going across genres now as well. I need to become a little bit bolder. I think I have a habit and tendency to stick to what I know for comfort when I'm needing escapism or something to take my mind off life stuff, and that's all good and fine, but also I'm ready and looking forward to diversifying my reading, and I'm really excited for this year. I have got some excellent books in my to be read pile. That will be another video. And I'm also considering rereading some novels that I have loved and forced upon other people. Because I've mentioned before, I have no memory of plot or character, just books that have stuck with me. So but it's difficult then because there's so many incredible new novels coming out now, and then there's ones that I've read that I loved, and there's too many. So yeah, I hope that I get to meet lots of wonderful people and read a lot of incredible books and become better at talking about what I'm reading and that my writing improves. So don't forget to like me. And yeah, see you later. That was embarrassing. Oh gosh. So yeah, that's it from me. Oh, so that's it. No. What do I do with these? What do I do with these? Okay, so that's the end of the newbie tag. Yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting with anyone in the comments. If you would want to stop by and say hi and introduce yourself, be stoked to meet you. And yeah, until next time, happy reading.